Hi, this is Robin the Generous Stitcher, and next week's going to be busy because I'm not the greatest housekeeper, and so we're kind of cleaning up the house because I've got the stitch group coming over on Thursday. We made a lot of headway today, and I even had a chance to stitch tonight, and so I have a lot of confidence that the house is going to be great come Thursday. And yeah, my biggest worry is I'm gonna try to serve some specialty holiday coffee, and I don't have a coffee pot, so I'm kind of trying to decide how to do that without wrecking the coffee. So anyway, all right, I got so many things. So I had gosh, and this camera just feels like it's like I'm there, I think. Always I have to fiddle with it with the tripod. It still feels like I'm listing. But anyway, so I had two finishes this week. I had, or within a week, and I had, gosh, where, sorry, it's at the end of the day, I'm tired. So yeah, so the last time I filmed was on October 27th, and I had a finish, stayed up late Halloween and finished, and I'll show the FFOs. I'll take a break and I'll show the FFOs after the whips. So I am working on the Annie B's Folk Art Christmas Pears, and I started that on November 2nd. I actually got the kit, so oops, good. I don't think I lifted that high enough. Getting out the picture. So yeah, so these are the pairs, and these are modeled stitched on Aztec Red. Sorry, my lamp, I feel like I'm gonna hit my face on it in a minute. And I had two different colors at home in my stash that I thought would work great, and so I pulled both of those out, and actually I had three. I had Pomegranate Fabrics by Stephanie. This is 36 count linen. And then I had Lap and Loops Curtain Call, which is really beautifully modeled. And it's 18 count Aida. And then I had Pistachio by Atomic Ranch, which was a lighter green that I thought might work for a pair. And so, and definitely not clash with the finishing kit that I showed you last time, all the green wool that I got to finish it with. And so I decided to do, there are three different models, patterns. There's a Noel, there's a Joy, and then there's a pair that doesn't have any words on it. It just has holly and ivy kinds of things, and or holly and berries. And so I decided to do the two pairs with the words. Let's get this in the right corner. And since basically you have an outline of a pair, so you put the outline over and then you just cut around it, so it doesn't really require much of a border, because you're going to be stitching it to the wool and stuffing it. So so it's kind of like a biscorno. You don't need, I'm thinking you don't need too much border. I'm about 50% done. This is the last three letters of the Noel. There is a little tail of the L that I haven't stitched yet, and then the N is right here, and then there's some more holly berry type stuff, and there's like little snowflakes or little, yeah. So anyway, what I've been doing to speed this along is I've been doing basically threading my needle with one strand of silk. Oh, and this is 1/1, and so that's on Ada. I think the silk is turning out really nice and full. It's, you know, I think it looks on the Ada, it's looking a bit fuller than it would on the linen, and I like that. It's really pretty, and so so I'm trying to get this fabric folded so it's not gonna wrinkle when I put it back in the bag. So come on. So all right, there we go. Get the seams of the fold in the right spots. Fold it like that, and then I thought I might do the pair without the words on the pistachio, and save the pomegranate for something else. And I also, since I'm trying to get, I'm not going to get all 3 pairs done by December 5th, but I want to get 2 pairs done by December 5th. So maybe I can work on putting one together, you know, in the class. And so so that's my plan. And so yeah, I mean, since I've done a Biscorno, I feel like I have a little bit of, you know, facility. And I was telling a friend of mine, I said, well, yeah, I said, I haven't done any cross stitch fruit. And, you know, so I took this pear class, you know, and they're like, but you did that finished piece that was all those grapes that I finished for my friend Tammy. And I was like, oh, no. I meant like stuffed 3D fruit things. You know, I've done a Biscornu, but I haven't done a pear and I haven't done a strawberry. And I'm not sure if there are other types of fruit. Oh, philanthropic pumpkin. I would love to stitch that. I just don't think I can get my hands on the pattern. But anyway, so that's that whip. And then since let me see if I can pull this out, maybe. Oh, I already did. So I had my spreadsheet of all my whips, and I'm looking through these going, since I've finished, I've got a few, I haven't finished all the gifts that I'm planning to give people, but the gifts that I've finished have been small gifts, and so now I've got like the 2 older, larger gifts that I need to finish. And so those I'm kind of taking a break, or I had been taking a break, because one of them I haven't touched since March, and the other one I haven't touched since almost a year ago this month. So I'm hoping to get back to them this month. But in the meantime, as I'm stitching one strand of silk and calling it good every, per day for the pairs, although I took kind of a break this weekend. So I've been picking up things on my spreadsheet that I haven't touched. And so one of the things that I hadn't touched was House Without a Cat by Imaginating. And this is a memorial piece for Velveta, cat we had before Willow and Max. And okay. Oh, I put the project bag over here. Let me scoot. Okay. Actually, I didn't put it back in the project bag because I knew I wanted to grab it. So I had, and I think I picked this up. I thought I had picked this up before 2 years ago. Maybe it was, let me look at my spreadsheet again. Oh, it was, no, that That was that a year ago for that one. So yeah, according to this, it was 14 months ago that I had touched this one. And so I thought I had picked it up one time before that. But so I just stitched some more orange tonight. You know, half stitches, a couple whole cross stitches. So anyway, so this is the cat, and then the cat has flowers in front of it, and especially in the back of it. And so that's all I got. I've really been wanting to pick this up and touch it, and it is on. Let me get the needle in a. So it's not. This is Summer Sky Joblin, which is I think it's a 32 count, and it's just this really pale blue. So, and there's a little bit of modeling, but it's really, you know, you probably can't see it on the camera, but it's really faint. It looks more just like a solid color if you're not looking at it too closely. So, all right. So that's one of the ones I picked up and touched. And then another one I picked up and touched is Heart and Hand. I don't have any Heart and Hand patterns, but this is Wee Santa, and it's on really stiff Witchel. Is it sorry, I'm mixing up my linens. Not Witchelt. But anyway, it's very stiff. I will put the dyer of the linen, and this is I lost the tag on it, so I was asking my friends when they were looking up, and we think this is ivory because lamb's wool was the called for, and lamb's wool was too dark, and so I've put in. This is using specialty stitches, and Great, there went my project bag. So I finally I had Santa's boot was over here too close to the stems, so I finally frogged it, and then I think I might have shown you on the last one that I filled in these leaves. So I've just been filling in some leaves, and then I started to fill in some red, which actually is in Santa's body over here, which isn't quite stitched yet, but it was an easy place to start doing the variegated red, because the stem, Santa's holding a stem, and this blank spot is where his black glove is, and then the flower is hanging down here. So it was an easy spot to start doing some red in his body, in his suit. So that's where I am with that. And I'll pick up the project bag in a minute. So, but yeah, this linen is not really softening up with me touching it more. It's really still very stiff. So will not be buying that again. All right, then what else did I work on? Oh yes, so the other one that I've been really wanting to touch, and I actually bought a project bag for it yesterday at Acorns and Threads, and that is I'm looking through here because I do not want to show oh no, that's next year's project from Tiny Modernist. Take me a minute to to sort through these pages. Here it is. All right. So I've talked a little bit about buy-alongs. This is actually the first sal from 22. It's Halloween Crystal Ball. And this was the first sal that I ever purchased in 22. And I actually tried to start it, and I had never worked with Lugana. It's really slick because, you know, it's mixed with rayon, which is a synthetic fabric, so it is slick. And so I was trying to stitch in hand, and it would like slip off the table or slip off my lap. And so I was really getting frustrated. And also the fabric, the called for is cobblestone. And this is which I'll so the crystal ball part, which I started at the top center, I've had to frog this like 3 times, and I realized I still made a couple of errors down here, but I think they're minor enough I can leave them in. So tonight, this afternoon, I did a little bit more of the crystal ball, and I had started the flower just to give myself some context because I was messing up the counting of the crystal ball so easily that I put the flower in so I would go, okay, here's the flower to anchor where the crystal ball goes. And so tonight I filled in the lighter orange, which I previously had stitched 2 years ago, the darker orange, and then I filled in the lighter orange on this bud, and also filled in some more green of the leaf. So you know, these are good. They're Lugana. They're you know, I find a Lugana a little bit easier than linen sometimes, and so they're kind of good, you know, palette cleansers from really trying to be precise and count everything correctly on the Christmas pairs. And so, and the project bag I got, it was the last one of this fabric. So it's these girls talking with a cat, and you see there's shoes and another dress of another woman, and then up here on the bag is this woman sort of secretly talking to the man, and he's looking rather doubtful. So, and then the inside is skulls. So I think this fabric, oh, and then way down at the bottom there's a noose and some officials. So I think this is about the Salem witch trials, and this is Crafty Corey Stitches, who is the finisher for Acorns and Threads, and dear friend. And so, yeah, I love her bags. And I love the fabrics that she finds. So if she happens to see this, thank you, Corey. I was really looking for something special to put this in, and I found it. It's not a big enough bag to put the you know, the paperwork for the sal. This is the sal is actually, I have it all in digital, so this is just printed from my computer, and but I can get the fabric and the flosses in this little project bag, and that's good. And then I just have my my papers over here on this, which I need to, oops. I have a little stand, a little stand that I use to put patterns in. So I just have that there to put my papers on. And sometimes I have like my to-do list down at the bottom, so I know what I need to be doing. So we got a lot of, like I mentioned, house cleaning done today, so I'm pretty tired. But made a huge huge impact in the living room and dining room where I'm going to be hosting. So, okay, I'm going to take a very short break so I can grab one of the FFOs. The other one I gave to, I already delivered, and I'll talk about that next. So just a little break. Okay, so I always look at the little countdown to make sure that it's turned on correctly. So I'm going to show my husband, his coworker got married, and they're having a baby this week. And so I whipped out some baby booties, which I'm putting the photos in. And the funny thing is I don't have a pattern, so I do these from a photo of what I did before. And I kind of messed up on the chick, but I think the chick turned out better looking than what I had charted from the pattern, so, or from previous attempts. So I think I'm going to rechart my chick so it looks a little different. But I think it looks, like I say, I think it looks a little bit better. And then on the chicken theme, Lindy Stitch's Japanese Bantam. So this is a Christmas present for my great niece, and I'll show a picture of the Chantel barn, Chantel 141 barn, and in the picture. And so I went to Michael's this weekend with my friend and bought, like, I had all the paint that I thought I needed, and then I realized there was some trim, and I decided, oh great, because I wanted to, my mom had done a quilt for my great niece, and the quilt was like red and green and white. It was really Christmas colors, but it was chickens. And so I knew that my piece was not going to match the quilt, but the barn is going to be red. It's going to now have green trim, because there's a couple parts that you paint separately and glue onto the larger barn piece. The barn is going to be painted in red with a silver silo, and I had the red and silver already. So that's my next finishing activity. Oh, and I got a piece of foam core from Acorns and Threads, and so I'm going to attempt to lace this. I haven't laced before. I need to make my attempt by the 22nd, because Salem Air Stitchers were doing a Saturday mini retreat, and the person's house that we're going to, she's done lacing, and so if I'm having any hiccups, then I can talk to her about it when I'm at her house. And so those are my two FFOs, which I was really stunned that I got this done. I stayed up late on Halloween night and finished it about 1:10 November 1st, and then went to bed and slept in because I didn't have anything. Well, I had a couple things, and family things happened, so that kind of made those plans sort of change abruptly. But yesterday I went to Acorns for my monthly shop, and I had seen this. I had seen this not in the shop at Cynthia's Bend, although they are marketing a ton of Teresa Kogut stuff with a bunch of other designers, but they were out of the Hello Midnight. And so, but one of my friends in the 1120 Crafters had the book, and I was like, oh, I want that book. So Acorns and Threads had a copy, so I picked that up, and then they bought a bunch of floss for things that I had not been able to find yet in other trips to get floss. And so I'm not going to show the floss. And then I had a couple pieces of fabrics that I had on hold because I liked them, and I hadn't had a chance to purchase them. And then 2 of my fabrics came in that I had ordered. And, oh, and then there were some Crinate grab bags. So I picked up one of those. You know, I'm a sucker for pink and purple. And I have no idea what I'll ever stitch that on. Ooh, that reminds me of something else I need to pull out here. Something I found at Michael's. So, okay, I'll put the finish in this bag just so it's out of the way. So, I had 2 pieces that I had on hold that I liked, but I didn't want to get last month. Barefoot Needle Art. This is Squid Ink, which is a light green with sort of a blue purple. Yeah, it's definitely purpley. So yeah, purpley model. And then and yeah, so I mentioned the Dar and that Barefoot Needle Art, and then, oh, and that is 32 count linen. And then there was another 32 count linen, and I don't know how well you can see this. You maybe kind of. It's got gold sparkles in it. So this is sort of a turquoise blue, and there's a gold sparkle, or a couple gold sparkles. So it's got gold sparkles in it. I liked it. And this is Fiberlicious Linen Siren's Veil. And then this came in from back order. It's a piece of malachite for Blueberry J. It's 36 count linen. So now I have a 36 count linen for the Raspberry Magpie, and I have the fabric for Blueberry J. And whether I have all the flosses, and there is a conversion that people in the shop might be doing. I haven't decided what I'm going to do. Just lots of luscious color choices. I love the original flosses. They're beautiful. And then back for Nashville of this year, Acorns and Threads had gotten some Lap and Loops curtain call in linen, but they got 40 count, and my eyes can't do 40 count, not without lots of magnification and only stitching 40 minutes at a time on a single day. So, which means that my long dogs are going to take a long time. Well, I've got an ink circles and a long dog that are both going to be on 40 count, and they're going to take me years. So, but anyway, this is really, it's really intense, a little more intense than the Ada, but really, truly, the Ada is not too far off from this. They really did a good job dyeing their Ada. Because, you know, Ada and especially Lugana, they just don't take up the dye as well as linen. And so, you know, they had this come in and they said, you know, you wanted it, do you still want it? And I'm like, yeah, I still do, because it's so pretty. And I'm making those pairs, and, you know, I didn't have any idea what I'd want to stitch with this color or linen, and I had just picked up the Ada, the curtain call Ada at Acorns and Threads, because it was still unpurchased. I mean, it had been several months since Nashville, and I purchased it this summer because I was like, you know, it's still very pretty, and it's 18 count Ada, so it's going to stitch like 36 count linen. And so I kind of bought it, and I was like, yeah, I'll get it. It's just wasn't what I wanted, but I'll still get it. And I think it's working beautifully for those pairs. So I'm thinking that, okay, there was, you know, I had a good reason to get it, even though I didn't know the reason at the time. And I will find a reason for this. So let me see. Okay, and then one other thing. So I had a busy Saturday. I went to 12th and Library, delivered a baby gift to my husband's coworker, delivered a baby gift to one of my coworkers who we met at the 12th and Library, and saw her older son, who I had given her a baby gift for originally. I'd given her a pair of booties for him. And then, so the new baby boy that was born this summer, he stayed at home. So I was like giving her the bib with the snowboarders, and she loved it. But I forgot to tell her that the Blue Flower wants to see both of those bibs that I've used Forest Home motifs on. So I need to borrow those before Pinwis so I can put them on the brag table. And it's funny because I have the Lindy Stitches you just saw, the Forest Home bibs, and I have stitched this year, which you've seen, and had it fully finished, a little pillow, which was a Plum Street sampler. So I have never been to a retreat where I had anything done by that designer that I could put on the brag table. I have put stuff on the brag table in last Pinwis because, I make these bibs and they're unusual. And so, I had a bib from Tiny Modernist motifs on the brag table. And, but this will be the first Pinwis in 2026. If I can get in, it's going to be Memorial or Labor Day weekend, and it's if we're going to have 200 people, I'm sure. And so, fortunately, I only live 45 minutes away from the motel. So, I mean, if I couldn't get a motel room, at least I could go home at night. But, yeah, so I have in my stash a couple pieces of fabric from Live and Dye LA. Yeah, it's not Live and Dye in LA. It's Live and Dye LA. And she did some Nightmare Before Christmas themed fabrics that are amazing. And I actually thought this year, I think I might stitch something on that, on one of them. Actually, I got like the flosses that were Nightmare Before Christmas, and one of the fabrics. I think she had more than one, but I just, at the time, I was like, I can only afford so much when I purchased it. So my friend, we basically looked at just about everything that was in the Michaels, and it was a pretty good sized store, and they had a ton of stuff, and they were restocking. And so I had my list, and so I left her at the front of the store looking at clearance Halloween and stuff on sale for Christmas and the floral stuff. And and she basically did a loop around the store. And so I went to certain places, to get my paint, to get some glue for finishing, to look at there was a etoile that has been sold out everywhere because it's part of Jingle Ball. And hey, the Happy Valley Michaels, and they are they're right in a strip mall off 82nd, just before you get to Sunnyside. I think that's Sunnyside, and that's the road where Clackamas Town Center is. So this is just before that. It's on the right-hand side if you're going south, and they have the etoile that you might need for your Jingle Ball. So if you're local to the Portland area, Acorns and Threads is sold out of it. They haven't restocked it. They are probably going to get it restocked this month. But if you need some right now, that's where I got my C725, because that's in a different pattern, not in the Jingle Ball, but it happened to be something I needed for a Christmas thing I'm going to do for my Advent stitching. So anyway, so my friend was like, well, you know, you get your stuff and we'll meet up. And I said, yeah. And then, you know, we'll both probably need to use the restroom. So, you know, I'll hang out and watch your cart while you go. And, you know, then, you know, we can, and vice versa. And so she wanted to go to the jewelry aisle because of something she's thinking of making. And she didn't see anything she liked, but I saw some stuff. Nightmare Before Christmas charms. And I thought, you know, if I ever use Live and Die LA's Nightmare Before Christmas fabric, I'm going to do a pattern and then I'm going to put these little charms on it because that's the fabric. So that's what I bought. It's cross stitch adjacent. And so anyway, I think that's it. I don't want to show like all the stupid flosses I got. And I'm gonna put these back in here. I'm going to leave out the fabric and the one pattern book because I'm going to put that on my spreadsheet. But anyway, that's it. 36 minutes, and I don't really have anything to share. A lot of things are happening at Acorns and Threads for their 30th anniversary. I don't think everything is on the calendar yet, but it's going to be a very busy year for them. And they're going to have a lot of special guests. I know a couple of designers who are going to show up that I'm like, okay, yeah, I want to take their class, you know. And yeah, I could have taken their class, one of their classes in the Jingle Ball, but you know, I want to meet them in person and take their class at Acorns and Threads. So anyway, lots going on. And the next things coming up for me for cross stitch, besides the Salem Mary Stitcher dates, and I have another stitch group that we meet on Discord. I guess we were talking about hooking up on Tuesday. A couple of them hooked up today, this morning, while I was busy cleaning my house. So I didn't have my computer on, so I didn't know that they were talking about, hey, are we going to do Tuesday? And so I left a message like, yeah, Tuesday's good for me in the evening because I'm going to be cleaning. Still got to clean the bathroom. So that's Tuesday's job. So anyway, what's going on? Jingle Ball's coming up on December 5th. Like I say, I'm doing my pre-stitching for that. I did sign up for the Jeanette Douglas class. She was sending out her PDF sooner or later, closer to the date, so I haven't seen anything about that. I don't even know what fabric I'm going to use, so which I kind of need to decide. I do need to decide. It's got to be a linen. Maybe I've got a bunch of 28 and 32 count linens, so I'm probably going to pick a bigger, you know, like a lower count linen, so the stitches are bigger, but it's still linen, so they'll have the right points. And you know, if you have to go through the half stitch, you can do that. So and I have the Jeanette Douglas book, and I was going to use scrap pieces to do each section. That's the thing I need to ask people about on Thursday night is who's doing this. And if we want to do, because we talked about doing the Jeanette Douglas stitching book together, like as a joint, you know, stitch along. And so, and then let's see. So Salem Mary Stitchers, we're doing our potluck in December. We are doing Advent stitching. And so I have picked out the things that I'm going to work on during the Advent, but I am not, one of the things that we do is we have all of our things in a generic project bag. And so then Elise wraps them up so that if you want to just randomly pick something and unwrap it, you can. And I'm much too, regimented with my spreadsheet. Like, no, I'm going to work on this like this. This is like, I think the title for this video is Tell Me You're Monogamous Without Being Monogamous. Because I was always, for 20 plus years, I was a monogamous, 22 years, I was a monogamous stitcher. And then I kind of gradually was not. And I think with purchasing this, I kind of became not monogamous because I still had things that I was working on that kind of went by the wayside, which is, I always had stuff that went by the wayside. But anyway, so I kind of have like 3, if not 4 or 5 things that I was going to do each Advent week. And by that point, the pair things will be done, except for the finishing parts, or 2 of the pairs will be done, and one of them I'll probably need to stitch at some point and finish. So I kind of like to say, no, I'm going to stitch on this week, and then I'm going to stitch on something else the next week. Although last year, I was like, okay, I'm going to work on these 4 things. Well, then I ended up only working on 2, because one of them was like, I really need to work on this one because it really needs to be gifted to somebody or finished. So, and then at the beginning of last year, I was like, I really need to have a finish per month. And, I couldn't believe I had 2 finishes in November this month. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to have at least 10 finishes or 11 finishes this year, and maybe more. And that's good, because my stash and starting calendar is sort of like based on having at least 11 finishes per year, and I need to up that somehow. But I'm not sure I can, at least not until I retire, which is 7 years and some odd months away. So anyway, then we have the Gathering of Acorns mini retreat at Acorns and Threads coming up in January. And I've got things scheduled on my spreadsheet for, so that's the first page, and then that's the second page. And I had got I'd finished a couple things, so took them off the spreadsheet, and then I put another thing on I had this down to 2 rows on the second page, but I added one more since I was able to take the cat cuss, which is by Dirty Annie, and bring it down to the bottom of my whip thing. Not that I've started it yet. I'm not going to start it till 2026, but then I was like, no, I'm going to put something else onto that second page, which was not the thing that I had planned to put on the page. But anyway, you like to stitch what you like to stitch. And I have some friends that are completely, what's the word? It's kind of emotional stitching. I feel like stitching this today, so I'm going to stitch it. Whereas me, I'm like, I have the things in pink are gifts. And so how many years do I want to go without gifting this? 3 years? Yeah, 3 years is getting to be a long time, but that's going to happen for one of these. And then my oldest whip from 2001, which I kind of gave up on because I lost touch with the friend that I was making it for 2 decades ago. And then one of my new stitchy friends is like, oh, I really like that. I'm buying it on Craigslist. I'm like, you just wait 2 years and I can stitch it for you. And so the castle is going to be showing up in my active whips for 2026, because I was like 40% done with it in 2000 something. So it's a large piece, but it, you know, if you're 40% along the way, you know, that's a lot more finished than not. So yeah, so I'm kind of thinking about what I'm doing next year, which I always do. Since I have a spreadsheet, it's easier for me to kind of plug things in. But it's been exciting to kind of gift things off my list. And so yeah, so I have like 3 things that I need to get off my list, and 2 are big and 1 is small. One is the Wee Santa. So I want to get that off the list. That won't be the next thing off the list. The Christmas bears, I think, will be off the list sooner. And the Jeanette Douglas, you know, specialty stitches will be off the list sooner. Then I can have this tail end get added to the bottom, because this whole list is like 33 or 34 active whips, or rows that could be active whips, and I think that's going to be my future, not the amount of whips that I've started, but the amount of whips that go on one page. And that, you know, as I'm picking things off my kitted up spreadsheet and putting them to the bottom of this, I'm gonna get to a point where I just have the 33 or 34 that fit on this piece of paper. So anyway, probably too much that you didn't want to know, but okay, now I've wasted another 10 minutes, so I'm gonna say goodnight and get this posted. And I will have my Thanksgiving whip parade, hopefully Thanksgiving evening. I will film that, where you can see all the whips that I have. And I did not do a finish parade last year, but I'm thinking I'm going to do one, because I take photos of everything I finish, and so I will throw in a finish parade, but I'm not sure whether that will be Thanksgiving or Christmas, or like end of the year Christmas sort of stuff. So anyway, thank you very much for spending time. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for joining me. And if you're local, I hope to stitch with you sometime. Okay, bye.